What's up, YouTube? Today I have a very special guest. He served his country and now he's served himself an opportunity to become the Impact Wrestling X Division champion. Hard to kill. It's Steve Maclin. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I mean, when I heard I was going to be talking to you today, I got a little scared, not going to lie, because I saw the video. You kind of abducted Trey Miguel, and I'm kind of confused on why you decided to go on that route to get an opportunity for the X Division championship when you know, I don't know, there might have been other ways to go about it. So why'd you got abducted, dude? Because that's a little far.
It's a little mind games. Obviously, he went running to Scott D'Amore after Scott D'Amore told me no. So, you know, I'm still curious how he got away. I don't know who let him out or if he got himself out. So I know I've left him there.
I would assume like the police or something when you get abducted. But I mean, like,
Maybe.
I don't know, man. I mean, usually when I'm a college student, so like usually when I'm doing bad in a class or something, I go ask the teacher for help or, you know, get a tutor or, you know, just study a little bit harder, but not necessarily like kidnap the teacher and demand an A. So,
Maybe next time, not saying you do that, but you never know.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I might have to next time. No, definitely won't.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I definitely should. But I want to talk about your hard to kill match. Obviously, you're going to be wrestling for an Impact X Division championship. Why did you decide to go after this championship first when you first debuted for Impact Wrestling and not necessarily go straight after the world title?
It's just one of those titles I feel that has made the landscape of Impact what it is for so long. Even in the TNA days, it's one of those titles that was a hybrid, and you got all the different meshes of styles going into it. Kind of like the Intercontinental title growing up. Like that was the title to me. I never really looked at the world title. Obviously, it was Hulk Hogan at that time when I was little, but yeah, it was just it was the workhorse, and I that's where I think I'm at right now. I want to put that pack on my back of carrying that X Division brand. And that's one of those things that's just a fun style and different meshes of high flying, brute strength, and then ground and pound. So you never know what you're going to get out there in that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you'd be like a bigger guy actually winning the title if you do on Saturday, January 8th at Hard to Kill. So what's like your motivation? I'm like, what kind of champion would you be if you were the X Division champion?
I'd be a fighting champion, but like I said before in promos, like once I get the X Division title or any title, whether it be the Impact World title or that or the tag titles down the line, that's just to let me know like that's the target. Everybody's coming to me. I don't have to go chase anybody else. Everybody can come to me, and that's the one good thing. I can know who's in front of me.
Yeah, totally. And would you win that title just to cash it in for option C, or do you want to just like show like you can really be the best X Division champion?
You never know. There's options.
Definitely, yeah, and the option is a letter C. But I want to go into like your time coming up in pro wrestling. So a lot of people might know you as being Steve Cutler, but I actually know you as being Tommy Maclin. So a long time ago, I was on YouTube. I was searching up I'm actually trying to be a wrestler, by the way, in Maryland.
Okay.
So I was on YouTube. I was searching up how to be a pro wrestler, and this video comes up on Howcast, and it's wrestling moves with Tommy Maclin.
Yeah, I've done those before. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was watching through the playlist recently, like this morning. I'm like, hey, that was the same guy. That's crazy how life works out. What was the hardest move, if you remember, like when you had to make that series?
Those were like tough just because it was like breaking down pro wrestling, and usually don't want to let away like the secrets of pro wrestling. But Larry that day had it, and my tag partner and friend at that time, Spanos, like we were just there to kind of do it. And they said, come on in, we'll film this. We don't know where it's going to go. And it's funny, like I've had a few people come to me even when I was at the Performance Center, and people are like, oh, I saw you on Howcast. I'm like, how to do pro wrestling when I started training. I'm like, oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I was like, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And like having to slow down moves and showing how to properly do them and just proper technique. And that's the one thing of pro wrestling is the fundamentals. And I think that's the one thing I think is probably lost nowadays, where people aren't taught properly the fundamentals of pro wrestling, and they should learn on those because you lean on them no matter what in a match.
Definitely. And like you learned those fundamentals at the Monster Factory. So like what's like your story that led you to training at probably one of the best wrestling schools in the country?
Well, I got out of the Marine Corps. I had a few friends on the Indies that were the Northeast, and it was just what kind of worked with me with going to college during the day and at night at Rowan University on the GI Bill. And the Monster Factory just happened to be in Paulsboro, which wasn't too far away from Rowan University. So it just kind of worked out. And I went for a tryout and seminar, and then they said, can you start today? I said, yeah, sure. And then I was there for about 2 weeks. I took about a 2-month hiatus after that. And Danny contacted me later that August in 2012 And I came back and hit the ground running from there. And then about a year later, in 2013, Gerald Briscoe came in for a tryout and a seminar at the Monster Factory. And then a few months later after that, had my tryout at the Performance Center. And then that following January in 2014, I showed up at the Performance Center after signing my contract with WWE.
Definitely, and that's a crazy story in itself,
dude.
Like,
yeah, I'm very blessed for how quick it happened, because I know a lot of people for years that go out there, but it's just funny to see how NXT is now compared to where it was in 2013, 2014, where that's the idea they had at the beginning of it. It wasn't that flux of indie talent; it was athletes, people with really not a name but some experience and trying to get in there, and they would build off of that. And then that changed, obviously, because NXT just blew up. Which why wouldn't you ride that wave? Which it was an awesome run. But now they're trying to go back to that developmental style brand instead of making it its own brand.
Definitely. And like when you were coming up, like for that year before you got signed to the WWE, what was like your goals at the time? Because obviously it happened really quickly, but like when you first jumped into wrestling, I'm sure you probably didn't assume like, oh, I'll just go to WWE in the first year. So like, what was like your plan of like getting eventually to that point where you can like go to the WWE or Impact Wrestling?
It was just getting the experience I could, wrestling where I could, and trying to get extra work when I could. And WWE was the goal. Like if you're, to me, that just was my goal in wrestling. Like, all right, why wouldn't I want to go for WWE? If not, then what am I doing this for? And then I started to learn there's New Japan, there's a Ring of Honor at that time, and there's just so many different outlets. And then the independents at that time were you could make money on the independents, but you just have to work your ass off for it.
Yeah.
And once I had my tryout, I was all right, if this is the best it gets, because I got told no at my tryout. All right, cool. If this is the best it gets, I'll continue to do extra work until I can get a job there and get that opportunity again. Other than that, I'll get as much experience as I can. And I wanted to go to New Japan and try to get into that the young boy program over there and just try to come up through the dojos. And obviously, once I had my tryout and seminar, Briscoe said, don't go anywhere else, which why wouldn't you listen to Gerald Briscoe?
Oh, yeah.
He's telling me to do that. He said, stay here, work on your basics, continue your conditioning, you'll be fine. Don't get any more tattoos. And, yes, sir. And being from prior military, I'm like, okay, he seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things, just listen to him. And I'm very lucky, very, very, very lucky on the time that I had on the independence for about a year and a half into my training and then getting into the PC.
Definitely. And like before you got into the PC and before you even started Monster Factory, you were in the Marines and you also said you went to Rowan University. So where was like the line of like, okay, I'm in the military, but I also want to be a pro wrestler? Like, were you thinking about being a wrestler while you're in the military, or is that something that happened like kind of after?
Yeah, it was always kind of in my head. Like, it's something I wanted to pursue, but it wasn't obviously a thing to do while I was infantry in the Marine Corps. So I was just like, all right, there's no way I can do this on the side. So what can I do? And I was all right, well, I'm getting out anyway to pursue the GI Bill. I was like, I might as well get in the ring because it can obviously show me another career path. And in a sense, it's its own trade, professional wrestling, like almost like a trade school. I was actually having that conversation with my dad earlier, but it was something I wanted to do and try. And I just felt I needed to. And then once I got in a ring, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the business later on, not too long after. And I was addicted and I was hooked.
Definitely. And like when you said you went to Rowan University, like did you graduate and like what was like your major when you were there?
No, I was actually in my third semester after as I was getting signed. And the day I got signed, I was going to my marketing class. I let my professor know. I was like, just to let you know, I won't be coming back, but I'm coming here just because I was still scheduled to be here tonight. So he's like, well, why? I was like, well, I got a job offer in Florida to go to WWE and train there. And he goes, oh, well, then what are you doing here? I was like, yeah, well, I'm just here, come have one more class. But I haven't finished my degree. I don't know when or if I will, but it was an experience. It's weird to be 25 going to college with a bunch of 18-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm like 22, so like just seeing in classes with like freshmen and stuff, they're a bit different because they just came out of high school, so they're talking a bit different than like someone about like 25 just coming out of the military probably would be seeing life essentially. Yeah,
I used to be that kid in class that would make fun of the person raising their hand all the time. And then here I was at 25 sitting in the front, raising my hand, asking questions because I had no idea on anything anymore, on technology. And just a different world.
Yeah, like how different was life between like 2007 when you went into 2011 when you came out?
Insane on technology. Like iPhones weren't a thing. Facebook was. Twitter wasn't a thing yet. Instagram. But like the iPhones and everybody always being on their phones now is the difference maker. And Deanna makes fun of me all the time because I don't remember certain songs or certain time periods from like 2009, 2011 when I was deployed. So you just miss a part of life and culture. So it's one of those things that's just, it's funny to catch up on still. I'm like, I don't remember that.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure we had that little time difference in between that.
Yeah.
It does make a big difference. That's 4 years. But
Yeah.
like once you left the WWE, like what was your story of getting into Impact Wrestling?
I was contacted. I was in contact with Impact Wrestling during just with a few friends there, and then even just chatting with D'Lo before my contract was up. We had a small conversation, and the day my contract was up, I was offered for an Impact job, and we came in and hit the ground running. And it's been great since, man. Impact is my home. It's funny to like, it takes you time to find a place, and it's one of those places that like, this is my home. And it's kind of nice to feel that way too on the other side, getting that back to me that like, all right, you're welcomed. It's very open communication, creative for even my vignettes that I made on my own, like for them to use, just it speaks sounds on how they just like, nope, we like this, what you did, and let's just go with it because it's authentic. And that's the fun part, is being able to find yourself and be yourself.
Definitely. And like, were you a big fan of TNA growing up? Because I know I've heard in different interviews you're a big fan of like Bret Hart. So like, were you watching like those early 2000 years of TNA?
So like 2005, 2004 timeframe, I was kind of here and there. Just I kind of got away from wrestling just because I was graduating high school. I was getting in trying college and work, and I'd watch the big pay-per-views here and there. And I wasn't really a fan of kind of what was going on then. I still watched Hunter and Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, but I didn't really care for the guys coming up at that time as much. But yeah, I grew up on Bret Hart, Stone Cold, Owen, Mr. Perfect. Like I grew up from the new generation all the way through Attitude Era. Nice. That was my time frame.
Definitely. I was more of like a ruthless aggression kind of guy. But like now looking like at the fact they're in Impact Wrestling, like is there like tape they're going back to watch now competing for the X Division Championship?
Yeah, so even with the cheap plug on the Impact Plus app, but for having the app, it's kind of very beneficial to go back and just watch things of what's been done, even like an Ultimate X match, or just to see things that have happened that I haven't really seen or done, like watching AJ matches or any type of triple threats, to see like the styles for an X Division match and just kind of take from here and steal from this, or just kind of come up with ideas and try to maybe recreate something. And even watching Chris Sabin, like old stuff, like, so it's kind of just cool to know who I want to work with at some point and kind of get ideas of, okay, he does this, or he's done this before, or she may, you never know, she has done this before, so you never know.
Yeah, definitely. And like when you had like your Bound for Glory debut and you're in the triple threat for the X Division Championship, even though you didn't get the title, a lot of people were talking about you after the match, and everyone was very impressed in like what you did in the ring and just how intense you were. What was like the reaction like in the locker room and also online for you?
Well, obviously Twitter is its own world. It felt good to get a little bit of gratification, like boost your ego a little bit. I'm really not a Twitter fan. I'm there to promote it. It's fun to have fun with people on there too, but it also has a very bad dark side to it. Don't need to get into that. Obviously everybody knows the Twitter world of darkness and evil that's out there, the negativity. But it was gratifying, and it was good because it was one of those moments for me, like even on my entrance, I just went, I was just fired up, and I was just one of those moments. I was like, this is my fucking time. Yeah. Sorry to cuss, but like, it was just like, all right, here I am. Like it's time to kick ass.
Awesome. And like you pulled like a lot of your character from the Punisher. So like what was like the motivation using that character on top of like just yourself and molding who Steve Maclin is?
Well, even watching the show, I remember when the show came out when I was still with NXT, and I'm just like, this is kind of me. Like I feel like I can put me into that role. And yeah, I think that's one of those things where a lot of like, not method acting, but like typecasting, I'm like, I could do that, like if I needed to. And so it's like trying to draw little things and what ticks. Obviously my family wasn't murdered, like the Punisher character. So it's like, all right, well, obviously I can't use that. So it's just way out of there. How do I make it as real as possible to be as organic as possible for myself? Yeah. And that's me being a military background, prior military, and just being a little dark, and I can go kind of so many different ways with it. And that's been the fun part so far of seeing where we're going with it.
Yeah, totally. And I guess my last two questions are, a lot of times when people have like these big pay-per-view matches, the question always asks like, how are you going to win the title? But for me, I actually want to ask you, how do you think that Trey is going to beat you? And how do you react to that?
It's going to take a lot. I'll tell him that. To coin the hard to kill pay-per-view, it's going to be hard to kill me.
Heck yeah. And I guess like my final question is, who is Steve Maclin?
Well, when I'm in the ring, I am a completely different person compared to outside of the ring. When I'm in the ring and I'm there to do work, I'm there to do work. If it's time to go out there and do my job, whoever's in front of me, I feel bad for you. But at the same time, I don't feel bad for you. I really don't have remorse. I'm going to do what gets the job done so that I can come home and enjoy life. And outside of the ring, it's me, D, and the dogs right now, and eventually family down the road. And that's all that matters to me is my family and just living happily. And I'm in a good place in life, especially from leaving WWE and compared to where I am now. It's just, I have Deanna to thank for that, but just, oh wow, man. Outside of the ring, I'm just me. I'm very, very outspoken. As much as people think I have this resting bitch face when I'm out there and like, oh, you're always angry. I'm like, no, I'm not always angry. I'm in tune to where I'm at. I'm at work. I'm like, I'm here to work.
Definitely. And where can they find you on social media?
You can follow me at Steve Maclin on Twitter and Instagram, Pro Wrestling Tees, Steve Maclin Store, as well as Shop Impact Deals. And then you watch Impact on Access every Thursday night. And Hard to Kill January 8th in Dallas, Fight TV.
Heck yeah. And make sure you don't abduct anyone else. That was kind of scary, man.
I can't promise that. It could get worse. That's the thing.
That's utterly terrifying, but awesome. Thank you for coming on the channel. I really do appreciate it. For everyone watching this, make sure to like, comment, share. Make sure to buy Hard to Kill on pay-per-view so you can watch Steve Maclin hopefully not steal anyone else, but take that Impact Exhibition Championship. Make sure to like, comment, share, and always subscribe. And we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze.